What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special Canes Insight Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, because it is Victory Sunday, playoff Victory Sunday, and not the last one for your Miami Hurricanes. They take down Texas A&M 10-3. You all saw the game, but insane day yesterday. Was able to be out there on the field, which was just a crazy perspective seeing this thing, and have a lot of thoughts to get into with this one. Appreciate everybody joining us, and again, just really happy, man. And I'm happy for first all you guys that have sat through some terrible football, watching this show after some bad losses. Just really a much longer stretch of being bad than we all anticipated, right? No one expected a 20-plus year rebuild, but we got through it, and now we are here back where we belong, in the upper echelon of college football, trying to be in the absolute top echelon, which, as we all know, is where the Miami Hurricanes belong. Happiest, probably most of all, actually, for the players themselves who did all the work. Such great kids. Like, doing storm sessions for the University of Miami, able to interview these players, sit down with their families, and really learn more about them. And you saw so many of those guys make plays, guys that I sat down with, and you could watch those interviews. I'm going to repost them on canesinsight.com so you guys can see them if you missed them. But like Mo Toure laying his body on the line, Mark Fletcher, we know what he did, Keontae Scott, Akeem Messidor. These are some of the best young men you could ever find as far as just how they got here, the way they are on camera, the way they are off camera, the way they treat everybody in the building. I mean, these are really exceptional people, and they've worked so hard. And that's just a few that I've named. So just happy to see them get some fruits of their labor and really star on the biggest stage, because they deserve to be those kind of stars. As coaching staff, college football coaches work hard across the country, right? But you talk to people in the industry, there are few among that level that work harder than Mario Cristobal, if any. And he is the tip of the spear. Everybody in that organization has to fall in line, and it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't go to Miami or leave Miami because they cannot handle that workload, that pace that Mario Cristobal brings. So these guys have put in incredible amount of hours, time away from their own families, from the head coach down to the recruiting department, everybody, assistants, graduate assistants, you name it, quality control. So all of these people deserve this moment to be in the spotlight, playing the absolute highest level of college football, because they've been working towards it. And my other big takeaway just from being there is, like, there's no going back to the CarQuest Bowl, the Micron PC Bowl after that one, because when you see that environment, that vibe, that level with everybody there, I mean, just that sidelines, you had every Hall of Fame coach, media personality. You had Edgar and James, Andre Johnson, Irvin going insane. Like, when you see that level of just being in the main event, it's hard to go back to the bottom of the card. And I think I understand now more why these programs that have been good for a long time get so impatient after one offseason playing on one of these, Hanukkah bowls, because it's so different being in that big time level. I couldn't believe the atmosphere. Shout out to Texas A&M and College Station. I mean, they were, look, I'm the biggest crap on rivals person in the world. I love to kick people when they're down, kick rivals when they're down. But, when you talk about the people around there, they were, I didn't even get a bad look. I mean, these guys were so classy, and the environment was so fun. Different, obviously, not Miami, but you got to give those guys love for what they did. But man, I'm just I'm so juiced up. I'm going to go through position by position, but I want to get some of these comments in, because this really, the show's about you. So I want to make sure you guys are heard. Mo Hussein, what he's been saying for years, and he's feeling pretty good right now. I'm feeling pretty good right now. Appreciate you as always. Says extend Mario, never a doubt. Ugandan Giants says, so grateful for this team, for Canes Insight. You are my spirit animal. Miami Hurricanes, old-time pro wrestling, and a little country music on the side. Appreciate you, Ugandan Giants. Yeah, it was funny. On the field, they played David Allen Coe. You never even called me by my name. country song, old Texan song, which this was one of the Canes Insight playlist songs. I picked it with Mike Ryan a few weeks ago and ended up playing it. The whole stadium was singing. I think I was the only Miami Hurricane fan singing that one, but really, really an awesome vibe, man. Yeah, shout out to Cognizant. I think I saw you out there. I'm pretty sure I did. So shout out to you, man. I know you got to see an awesome game. Saw a lot of Canes Insight fans. So again, appreciate everybody. Man, I can't get through all the comments here. I'd love to, but yeah, D-Hucks, God bless him. Man, poor Trey Zune. 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, a block kick for Ruben Bain. Trey Zune, the Texas A&M left tackle who ran his mouth. Last moment as a Aggie, not a good one. I won't talk bad about the rivals and the people because it really was a great experience. I mean, I give those guys a lot of love. They're like Nebraska in that way, but him, because he talked, you got to talk about him a little, and completely humiliated. That Texas A&M offensive line got destroyed, and they're good. D-Huck said, I saw Pete and the Bella Danger at the game on TV Stars. Yeah, man, Pete got a lot of TV time. Bella did as well. But, I just want to go through position by position here, and that's the only way I can kind of organize my thoughts. So wanted to just walk through just front to back, just the way this team played and what they meant. I'm going to start with the quarterback position because that's really the tip of the spear, even though in this game it wasn't they weren't the stars on either side. But talking about either quarterback with Reed or of course our guy Carson Beck, like it's hard to overemphasize and over-exaggerate how crazy that win was. I cannot tell you how insane it was being on the field, seeing that win. I'm sure it looked bad on TV, but like in this, like at the field level, like when you can really see that ball spin, it was moving in bizarre directions, like unpredictable. There was a play in that first quarter. It was when Texas A&M had the ball. They threw it. I forgot which receiver it was. Maybe it was Concepcion. It was one of their fast guys. And it's short pass, and the guy dropped it. And like when you see the spin of how he dropped it, like nobody could have caught it because it was like a knuckleball hitting his chest, and then it bounced in a totally unpredictable way. I mean, these were like wiffle ball throws, punts, kicks. It was crazy. So like when you try to see what happened in this game, whether it was the quarterbacks, the kickers, the punters, like don't project that forward into a dome, which is where we're playing in next. It's like I can't stress it enough. And also even with the play calling, which I don't think was great, and Dawson himself, I don't think thought it was great, but like it was bizarre wind. It wasn't like a little wind. It was like crazy. And that really impacted the way both of these teams played. But getting back, to Carson Beck, 14 to 20, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, which was the pitch pass to Tony. Not going to set the world on fire, throwing it 20 times for 103 yards. No interceptions, though, a huge stat for him. And with Beck, people were asking about, his $4 million quarterback, worth every penny, because look where we're at. We've been waiting a long time. We spent a lot of millions on some really bad teams, really bad quarterback play. To get to this point is you wouldn't trade it for the world. And I think Carson Beck, even though he wasn't the star of this game by any means, 35-5 as a starting quarterback. And he's only played big-time football. So again, I'll repeat, 35-5, 35 wins at the level he's playing at. Doesn't happen by accident. This was not his game. I think next game will be much more a Carson Beck game, even though Ohio State's defense is unreal just because of the conditions. Like Carson Beck did what he needed to do, and Miami was able to win the game. He wins his 35th game. We win our 11th game of the season. So that one, that's not the story of today, but we start with the quarterback, and I know he was happy to get that 35th win. This is why you get Carson Beck. This is why he comes to Miami. Mark Fletcher. Anybody who listens to this podcast knows that I am the biggest Mark Fletcher fan on the planet. Shout out to Night King if he's in the comments. I saw him on TV with the wonderful Linda Fletcher. So celebrating an incredible run. So shout out to you, Night King, if you're listening to this. This guy right here, and I've said it, and you guys know I've said it every single time, even after bad games. This is a championship football player. And people are always like, oh, not everybody, but there's some. And whoever did this, we'll let you back in, but slap yourself in the face before you rejoin the conversation. People are like, oh, I want Les Fletcher. Les Fletcher. Why we always do this? Work with Fletcher. This guy's a championship player. Okay. There's ACC games. There's, easy games. And then there are championship level games, playoff level games. And when you get to that level of football, that's where Mark Fletcher shows that he's a championship player. We've all been watching championship football for 20 plus years, not with the Canes playing, but with the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Michigans when they were running. You need to play a different style to win the big boy games. Big 12 football, that's cute. You know, all these stats, that's great. Real football, championship football is what you saw from Mark Fletcher in this game. Not just the running, the dominant running, the pass protection, even on Malachi Tony's run, bury some guy and points to him after burying him on that touchdown run to win the game. So Mark Fletcher showed why he is a championship Cane, championship person. Malachi Tony, it's funny. You guys go back and look at this. Andrea Adelson, who's great for ESPN, she wrote an article about Malachi Tony before this game. It might have been 2 days ago. And it was about how Malachi Tony had American heritage with Mark Fletcher on the team when Malachi Tony was a freshman, fumbled the ball to basically cost them the state championship game as a freshman. And that was one of the reasons why he was such a hard worker. This is like the theme of the story, right? When you go back and look at the story that Andrew Adelson wrote. And then the last line of the story, and I remember saying that, I told my wife when I read the story, it was, he hasn't fumbled since that day. Of course, you know, when you read something like that, the first thing you think of is, oh man, the jinx is on. And then of course, Malachi fumbles. Who's the first person to talk to him? Mark Fletcher. And then you see Mark Fletcher in the postgame, or he mentioned that moment. If you watched one of his interviews, he talked about with Malachi and that fumble, and he talked to him about that when he was pumping him back up. And then, of course, not only does Malachi have the game-winning run, Fletcher buries somebody and points to him. Not to Malachi, to the guy that he just buried, because that's Mark Fletcher. When you play big boy football, and this was big boy football, you need the big boys, right? This is not Big 12 loser ball. This is real, actual winning football. It's not statistically pretty. It's not highlight pretty. But this is what wins in college football for the last 2 decades. So I think some of our fans are caught up in what I call Big 12 loser ball. Great stats, great highlights, cool to watch. This is what wins. It's won for 2 decades, and you saw that when it mattered most, when the wind was howling. Hand the ball to number 4, your bully on the block, and he brought us home, and he deserves it. This guy's an unbelievable young man. Everybody loves him. He is as tough as they come. He's a great blocker on top of being, a really, really good runner. I mean, 5.4 yards per carry on the season. He hasn't been the problem with our running game. So just happy to have him had that moment. And also, again, very good at blitz pickup as well with a defense that likes to get after it. So shout out to Mark Fletcher. Him coming to Miami, flipping in from Ohio State was one of the things that got us to this point. Mario Cristobal called him the heart and soul of this team. Could not agree with that more. And how funny was that Shannon Dawson said, the thing that won it for us was an A-gap run. He said that in the post game. I don't know if you saw that. So kind of having fun with the fans a little bit. One thing I did take away from this game, and really from the season as a whole, and something that I've come to understand more just watching this team, is there really are different types of players for different types of games. All that trick play stuff, which you're going to need some of that. The speed at tailback, you're going to need some of that too to win the whole thing, to beat Ohio State for sure. But there's really a different way to win these ACC games consistently than to win these big boy games. The ACC games, that trickeration, the explosive plays, having fun, that allows you to really run a score up on these guys, keep the game separate enough that you don't have to worry about a bad call or a bad turnover penalty game costing you a game you should win when you're a double-digit favorite. Those explosive plays, and you need explosive plays for all the games. I mean, explosive plays are a key part of football. I'm not diminishing that, but just the trickeration, some of the stuff you saw when we were really rolling in the ACC, you need that because you can't be playing these dogfight games in the ACC that a bad penalty game like SMU, bad call like SMU, turnover game like Louisville kills you. Okay. There's a way to win ACC games that's different that we have to adjust to avoid these ACC pitfalls that have hurt us the last few years. But then you talk about the big boy games, meaning you're playing against NFL players on the other side, particularly on the trenches, whether it's Notre Dame, opening day, Florida, which again, they weren't a great team, but they had very physical players up front relative to the ACC. And then of course this game, you need this kind of performance. You need the big boys. You need that physicality. So a truly great Miami team that is fully, like, we're learning about this program right now. And we're becoming that team in real time. I think going forward, you really want to make sure you're ready, obviously, for ACC play. I think the Miami Hurricanes have proven they're ready for these big boy games. That's not the problem. It's more the avoiding those ACC pitfalls. So it's almost like you have two different teams, if that makes sense. It's just different ways to win these ball games. And that's something that I'm seeing in real time, and I didn't appreciate personally. The trick plays, all that stuff didn't really work in this one. You're going to need some of that against Ohio State. But again, different clubs in the bag for different opponents. So that's the running back position. It was really a one-man show. Pringle didn't really do much. I think you'll need him, though, against Ohio State for sure. Wide receiver, that win made it hard, right? That win made it really, really hard. You had moments. Keelan Marion had a couple nice catches. CJ Daniels had a great catch adjusting. Malachi, of course. And we'll start with him because that man, watching that replay of that punt return, that was beyond a shoestring. You're talking about like he tripped over himself because of the attempt at the tackle. Good hustle play by Texas A&M, but man, he was this close to housing that. And that would have been insane. He's going to house one of those before it's all said and done. I just feel like this season needs a Malachi Toney punt to the house. Maybe it's against Ohio State there in Jerry World. So we're going to watch that. But by the way, before I forget, shout out to all the security guards. It's funny. So I was able to be on the field for this one. All the security guards who were there for Texas A&M, like 3 of them were like hardcore Miami fans. Shout out to Kendrick. Shout out to the whole crew. They were all like either from Miami or just they're hardcore Miami fans. One of them played at Boyd Anderson, one at Carroll City. So like those guys were awesome. They were like doing their job, but they were secretly cheering for the Canes. So shout out to all those guys. But Malley fumbles the ball. It was down on himself. I had no doubts that he was going to make that play when we came back. He's just that kind of guy. That was no concern whatsoever. So he is who he is. He's one of the best players in the country and one of the best Canes we signed in Lord knows how long. But one play I want to highlight, CJ Daniels. If you go back and watch that touchdown run by Malachi Toney, Lofton had a good block. He's, by the way, blocking a lot more like the guy we saw last year and the guy I saw in spring. I think that shoulder's feeling better. So you're seeing Elijah Lofton start to block a little more like a fullback, whereas in the beginning of the year, I think he avoided contact. But CJ Daniels made the block of the game probably if you go back and watch that play. He had a crackback that was essential to allowing Malley to get to the edge. So shout out to CJ Daniels and that whole receiver group for how they block. Tight end's quiet game for them, but like I mentioned, I'm seeing more blocking from Lofton than we've seen in the past. I think just, again, a health issue for him. He's always been a tough guy, but shout out to him. Before we get to the offensive line, we'll get some super chats here. Angel, appreciate you. So proud of Malley, Fletch, Bryce, the team, and Mario. I'm hitting up Canes Connection and putting in Go Canes. Appreciate you, Angel. Remember, canesconnection.com/CIS. You get extra benefits that way. But yeah, canesconnection.com/CIS. In fact, let's pull it up right now while we're here. Ben, what better time than now to talk about canesconnection.com/CIS. The whole Canes Connection crew is there. A lot of them on the field celebrating. They deserved it, how hard they work. It's a whole team operation, but can't be done without you guys supporting it, being part of this run, being part of this championship run. canesconnection.com/CIS. Join today with that promo code. You get extra benefits, including Zoom calls, which will be very hot during portal season, I'm sure. But it's fun to not only have to talk about portal now because we are still playing football with the guys we have, and Canes Connection is a monstrous part of that. So canesconnection.com/CIS. You talk about oil money all you want. canesconnection.com/CIS took it home in the oil capital. So yeah, shout out to Canes Connection. Shout out to you, Angel. And yeah, you mentioned Malley, Fletch, Bryce, Ruben Bain, 4 South Florida players staying home, signed out of high school, and doing what they need to do. Rolex, appreciate you. A-Gap was working. JoJo had some good blocks. He did. And he was wide open on that long touchdown, man. So shout out to JoJo. JVP October, really appreciate your contributions and not just, the super chat, but just being in the chat every day. Best time ever at the game. I had chills. It was an electric stadium and got to meet Mike in the flesh. Everyone have a Merry Christmas. Yeah, Mike Irvin was awesome. I was one of the 500 people that he gave hugs to because he was hugging everybody in sight, man, and he was going crazy. The best ever, man. Michael Irvin, Hall of Famer. Imagine a Hall of Famer with that kind of passion for these kids, what that means to them. Appreciate you, Heatherman, man, the poster and the real person. Says, using the receivers for inside run game was an elite adjustment. Credit to Dawson for getting the numbers in our favor. Credit to Dawson. And look, you got to have receivers willing to do that. They aren't all like that. So also shout out to Kevin Beard for getting his guys ready to play and do what they need to do when it comes to blocking, especially in a game where the wind's not there and they're not getting the ball like they would like to get. Offensive line, it's funny. A lot of the stuff that we complained about after SMU, and rightfully so in a lot of ways, I think penalties had more to do with that middle of the season struggle than people think. Like that was a big, like we talk about the offense and Shannon Dawson and all that, and some of that's true, but the penalties were the biggest problem in that little rut there in the middle of the season offensively. But beyond that, James Brockermeyer got a lot of heat. And James Brockermeyer had some big-time blocks in his home state of Texas to free, including that Mark Fletcher, getting to the second level, freeing Mark Fletcher for that big run that ultimately won the game. So shout out to James Brockermeyer and the whole offensive line, but particularly him because he got a lot of criticism throughout the year. Happy to see him do it in his home state, and guess where he goes now? Dallas, Texas, his hometown. Or I should clarify, he's a Fort Worth guy, and he made that clear to me when I interviewed him for Canes Connection. So, getting closer to is the stadium in Dallas or Fort Worth? I don't even know. But either way, James Brockermeyer is coming home, and he deserves some love because he took a lot of criticism, and he's been a big part of why Miami's been able to get here. And certainly in this Texas A&M game, him and that whole offensive line was outstanding. We can go through all the names. Markel Bell, Cassius Howell, the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, leading sacker in the ACC. This is not the SEC anymore, my friend. This is ACC football, and he got absolutely buried and dominated by all the offensive line, but particularly Markel Bell. There was no pressure off his side. He was flawless in this ball game and has really been awesome all year. So credit to Alex Mirabal for helping develop a raw player out of Mississippi Junior College, but also a huge credit to Markel Bell himself. I've always been a huge Markel Bell guy, as people know, because he's another guy that got criticism a little bit last year when he got beat. I said he was ahead of schedule because he shouldn't have even been playing. He was starting. Now you see him with a full offseason and really building on what he did. This guy is he's a giant. So that's God-given. He is an elite worker. IQ, work ethic, taking care of his body, like just really focus on improvement. And that's not always the case with those giant guys. Sometimes those giant guys don't love football. Sometimes they just don't have it off the field to really capitalize on what they have naturally. When you have a guy with the giant size that also has that, it's called like the walk-on brain, right? The guy that's just going to maximize their ability, but also is giant, you get incredible improvement and incredible potential. And I think you're seeing that with Markel Bell. He's had an outstanding season, the best left tackle in the ACC, in my opinion, one of the best left tackles in the country. Because those SEC left tackles, they weren't blocking Cassius Howell. You see his stats. Look at his stats in this last game. He did absolutely nothing, and really none of those guys did. They got a little bit of pressure in terms of, they were tough on third down. They're the best third down defense in the country, led the country in sacks. So they're going to have a couple where they confuse Carson Beck, confused the offensive line, just not knowing where guys are coming from, confused the backs. But ultimately, in terms of like man-on-man, this offensive line whooped Texas A&M's defensive line, pass blocking and run blocking. Butch, appreciate you. So proud of this team. Should have scored 16-20 and put it away earlier, but whatever. Great win. Great job, boys. Yeah, look, missed opportunities. Obviously, the field goals and Carter Davis still sounds a little different coming off his boot. I think he's going to bounce back. But I cannot stress that win was lethal. And I think that screwed up a lot of things. On top of the fact that you had Texas A&M was, even though we neutralized them to a large extent, they were the number one sack team in the country statistically. And on the other side, they had to deal with our guys. So there's a lot of reasons why that win was even more of a factor in the game than you think, just because of all the other things you had to deal with on top of the win. So over 2,100 on. Appreciate you guys. like and subscribe. I had to do a quick one of these before headed to church here, but I can't wait to talk about this. Can't wait to talk about this all week. We're going to be doing a million shows before that bowl game against Ohio State, man. Jerry World, New Year's Eve, exactly where we should be, right there at the top, playing the top games. So switching to the defensive side of the ball, Trey Zune, tough one for the left tackle for Texas A&M, who ran his mouth about handling this Miami offensive line. And look, this was a great Texas A&M defensive line, handling Miami's defensive line. But the Texas A&M offensive line, this is a great offensive line. I mean, all this smack they talked, I understood why they were confident. They only allowed 10 sacks on Marcel Reed all season. 10. He got sacked 7 times yesterday. And the running game was completely just humiliated and buried for Texas A&M, even though they got their top runner back. 89 yards, 2.5 a carry. Miami, 175 yards, 6.3 yards a carry. You heard Rhett Lashley on the postgame for ACC Network. He was the first thing he mentioned to Mario, saying, hey, this is ACC football. I actually told Josh Pate that, not like I know him, it was just passing by. But as he was on the field, I'm like, SEC's not the only people that play this kind of football, because Miami, whether it's Notre Dame, whether it's Texas A&M, whether it's Florida with Jaden Baugh, nobody's running on this Miami Hurricanes team. They are burying opposing running games, and Texas A&M was no exception. So that offensive line for Texas A&M, which has been excellent all year in the SEC, a lot of NFL players. Trey Zune will be in the NFL. The right guard will be in the NFL. The left guard will be in the NFL. I mean, they might all be in the NFL. I don't know about the center, but certainly the tackles and the guards, and maybe the center too, completely dominated in this game. This is not the SEC, my friends. This is ACC Miami Hurricanes football. So the whole defensive line deserves a lot of credit. Highlighting, you got to start with Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor, the best defensive end tandem in the country. Shows you the value of having the best defensive end tandem in the country, because they are wrecking games. Ruben Bain, 3 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, block kick. He said, didn't take kindly disrespect. He didn't say anything until after the game. Then he said a lot, as it should be, because he dominated the game. All that short arm talk, that short arm blocked the kick, and then a couple other short arms were sacking Marcel Reed pretty consistently. Akeem Messidor too. The pass rush he brings, he's got more moves than Bain. Bain he didn't need a lot of moves because what he has works. But Messidor, man, he really switches it up and gets to the quarterback. That tandem is absolutely elite. Best defensive end tandem I can remember in Miami in my life. Truly. I mean, go back to Kenny Holmes and Kennard Lang, 2 first-rounders. They obviously were very good talent-wise and production-wise. 2001, Jerome McDougal, Andrew Williams, those guys were really, really good. Even recently, Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche were very, very good as well. But, man, Messidor and Bain, as far as like stopping the run, getting sacks, dominating games, consistency, winning big games, those guys are at the top of the heap as far as I'm concerned. So, man, again, shout out to those guys. And Kevin Dennis, shout out to the refs. They let the guys play ball. Good point. I mean, there was one personal foul I didn't love on Armando Blunt, who had a great pass rush on that last drive and then hit Reed. I mean, I guess a split second late, but it wasn't a dirty play at all. It was just, this is championship level football. I would have liked to see that not be called. Obviously, I'm a Canes fan, but it just really wasn't an egregious deal. Blunt had a great rush on the play. It was bang, bang, but overall, I thought the refs did a good job. Yeah. Peony Boys, thank you for mentioning this and appreciate you for their support. I was with Pops when he called the Bryce pick at the end. What a game. Yeah, so some backstory on this. Patrick, who owns Pop Subs, is the official sub shop of the Miami Hurricanes. He serves up the whole team and also gives us subs when we do the show with Mike Ryan on Wednesdays. Great guy, great Canes fan, great supporter. He was there like on that front row by the Miami bench. And when Malachi Tony scored, I went over to him. I said, what's up? I said, we got to finish the game, right? They can still got the ball. They got to drive to win. And he goes, Bryce Fitzgerald's going to end it right now with a pick. So I said, all right, good guess. And then sure enough, Bryce Fitzgerald had the pick. I had to run over to him and say he called it. And I'm telling him right now on the show, he called it, man, 100%. Shout out to Patrick and to Pop Subs right there on Sunset. But yeah, defensive line was awesome. The defensive tackles have been great all year. Hope Moden's okay. He got banged up a little bit, but he was outstanding, as was David Belay down the stretch. Armando Blunt getting his pass rush. Justin Scott continues to excel. These are some of the best defense. These might be the best defensive tackles left in the tournament, period. When we talked about Miami, I mean, these guys really, really get after it. Special group up front. Shout out to Damian Lewis and Jason Taylor for getting that whole defensive line ready to rock and roll. Linebackers, again, you stop the run, right? That was your first job, stopping the run. The tight ends didn't get going. So There were a couple times where, Marcel Reed made guys miss. That's going to happen. But I think overall, we sometimes the linebackers get criticism because they're not, Ohio State's got 2 first rounders they're going to see next week or in 10 days. I get it. Dan Morgan, Vilma, all these guys that we've seen. These linebackers are veterans. They are tough as nails, and they are stuffing opposing running games. And they're a huge part of this defense, which is an elite defense. And Mo Toure, again, watch the interview I did with him on Storm Sessions. Just a great, great, great story. Great young man. Has overcome a lot, has a tremendous passion for the school. And you saw that when he gave his body, like people talk about giving their body. There's no better example than Mo Toure to win the game. Because they don't win the game, at least they don't win it there if Toure does not knock the ball loose and knock himself out. I mean, he knocked himself clean out. He was UFC stiff after that hit. He knocks the ball loose. Miami wins it on the next play. After the game, he was walking around. He was normal, which is good. He was talking. If you there's an angle, and someone's got to find this. I'll sure post it on CanesInsight.com. 7.7 million posts and counting, although after yesterday it might be 10 million posts. But when Bryce got the pick, you see Toure running on the field going insane, hyping him up, and then the medical people are kind of like holding him back, like, hey man, you got to get checked out. But he's awesome, man, and he really has a passion for this team and for this program, and he left it there. Also, shout out Bobby Pruitt, great hit on that punt. I want to shout out what he did. He played a lot. I don't know if it came out, you could see on TV, but he was playing a lot with the defense. And then, of course, on special teams. Secondary, Keontae Scott to play with that turf toe, which is a pain tolerance injury, and then to dominate the game as he did. I'm going to see if I can find his stats, man. But he was unreal in this game, was Keontae Scott. Let me see. 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 10 tackles. This guy with turf toe, he didn't know he was going to play. The work he did to get ready to play and then to play. Unbelievable NFL player. It's people say with these one and dones, you don't get to have that connection with players. I mean, you talk about Canes legends, Keontae Scott, man, he's not buying drinks in Florida as far as I'm concerned anytime, because he is a special dude, special player, great young man, and really, really makes an impact on the game. He's going to be a big factor going forward every game, as he has been all year. So the receivers for Texas A&M really didn't get going. Again, I think the wind had a lot to do with it, but certainly the DBs had a lot to do with it as well. Craver caught one deep one, which was like, that was a tough play to cover. I mean, that ball floated, and he made a good read on it. But other than that, they really didn't do much at passing. Got to talk about Bryce Fitzgerald, because this guy, we talked about it all camp. If you listen to the Canes Inside podcast, every day in camp, what do we say? Malachi Tony is going to be the focal point of the passing game. Bryce Fitzgerald is going to play right away and make a big impact. His ability to play the ball, which you saw in high school, is elite as it can get. I'm just like, I don't think people realize this. I honestly didn't realize it until I looked it up. So you can be forgiven for not noticing this, but I'm pulling this up right now because I was shocked to see this. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but look at this. Who do you think is number 1 right now in Power 4 in interceptions nationally? Bryce Fitzgerald. Number 2 overall in the country. Number 1 with 7 picks is Jakari Foster from Louisiana Tech. But then number 1 in Power 4, tied with Ricardo Jones of Clemson, is Bryce Fitzgerald with 6 interceptions on the year. He might end up number 1 overall in the country in interceptions as a true freshman who did not play in spring. Got here late. He's the only guy that got here late. He did not come in spring with the rest of his class because Columbus doesn't allow you to graduate early. So local guy, Miami kid, Team Raw. We interview Coach Duasso all the time. So, there's a reason why we talked to our boy, Coach Duasso. He was out there. I gave him a big hug. But his guys, Malachi Tony and Bryce, pretty good players he sent to Miami Hurricanes. But Bryce Fitzgerald, man, he is such a special ball hawk. And the speed and athleticism this guy has, he's basically a corner. The interception he had, the last one, not the best throw, but that was man coverage. It wasn't like he was just cheating, to make a play. That was man coverage, finding the ball, running with guys and making plays. He could play corner, he could play nickel, and of course at safety, he is just covering the entire field. Special. As much as we love Malachi Tony and talk about special he is, I'm not sure Bryce is not just as special on the other side of the ball. I mean, to lead the power forward in interceptions as a true freshman, are you kidding me? The only thing I'm surprised by is he hasn't housed one, because he's great with the ball in his hands too. Elite player, elite recruiting. South Florida. I said South Florida had gone downhill a little bit overall as far as like the depth of it. I think it has, but the best players are still the best players in the world, man. You talk about Ruben Bain, Malachi Tony, Mark Fletcher, Bryce Fitzgerald. Nationally, Mendoza won the Heisman. Jeremiah Smith, who we play next week, in my opinion, the best player in the country, although our guys are going to have something to say about that, but you got to hand it to him. So South Florida is still, we talk about the elite guys. The elite guys are still the elite guys. And I think what you see from this last recruiting class, who are the two elite South Florida players nationally from this past recruiting class? Number 10 for Miami, number 13 for Miami. Butch, appreciate you. Says the sole reason we missed the playoffs last year is because of defense. And you can argue this year the only reason we won the playoff game was defense. Held A&M to the lowest output in a decade in their house. I am hyped, D. Yeah, man. And it shows you, like, look, we're not perfect as a team right now, although this Miami team is a legitimate championship contender right now as we sit here in December 21st. But like in terms of being like a dominant team, we had a dominant offense last year, a dominant defense this year. Our offense was good this year, is good. But I mean, can you imagine if we had last year's offense, this year's defense, as far as like how dominant this team would be? And I say that just to say how close this team is to being like a dominant team. Like, that's not something that's unrealistic. And right now, again, December 21st, competing for a national championship in 2025. So forget about last year, forget about going forward. This year, with this offense, which, by the way, this offense is scoring 31-plus points a game. Carson Beck, all the talk we have about him, he's still the number 8 rated passer in the country. I think people need to start talking about him and how he wins games and is an efficient passer instead of all the other stuff. Because every time people talk about Carson Beck, I don't know why they attach a negative thing to him. Always, nationally. Locally, I think people are appreciating what we're seeing for the most part because we haven't been here before and he's helping lead us there. But nationally, it's always, Carson Beck, but this guy is 35-5 in big time college football. And he's a number 8 in passer rating in the country this year. Like, we're scoring 31 points. He's a real player, man. And this is a real offense with a real offensive line, real running backs, and real receivers. So shout out to the whole team, right? Is going to go try to win a national championship in 2025, and then ultimately January 19th, 2026 here at the Rock. I had the Orange Bowl behind me just to remind people, man, this is what we're talking about. We're talking real Miami Hurricane football now. Championship contending football, which quite frankly, we haven't done since we were in this place behind me. We're doing it right now. So I don't want to look back. I just want to remind people, this is what Miami's about. Championships. And that's what we're doing right now. Martin Dubé, my boy, says, D, did you see Pete cheering on the broadcast? He was cheering his lungs out. Yeah, my kids were telling me when I got home, and so they saw Pete and all that. Yeah, he's a real cane, man. He was going insane. As for all his negativity and his kind of devil's advocate, let's call it, at times, he's a real cane. Yeah, great point, Kevin Dennis. Don't forget the fake punt PBU by Bryce Fitzgerald. Appreciate you support. Honestly, if that pass was thrown on a line, forget PBU. Fitzgerald would have taken that to the house. Like, that ball floated over both of their heads. But like, he had a beat on that. If you watch the replay, look at Fitzgerald from where he started on that play to where he ended. He read the play the whole way. If that would have been an accurate pass, like on a line, that ball would have been going the other way for 6 points. Like, for all the plays he makes, he missed. I don't say misses like in a bad way. I mean, like, he just misses like other plays too. Like, he is a difference making, needle moving player, and he is a tremendous talent from Miami, Florida. Originally Belen Jesuit, transferred to Columbus. We got to keep our guys at Belen, man. Mendoza wins the Heisman. Bryce Fitzgerald is a superstar in the making. Both guys are started at Belen, so they're academically inclined. And then leaving to Columbus. So we got to hold on to those guys, Belen. Let's be better there. Always shouting out Anjar and Levine. Always shouting out Miami Hurricane Team Store, Harry, the whole crew. I got to shout out the OrchidMan because he was there with me on the field. So, I got to shout out the ORCHID Man, Florida landscape artisans, South Florida's own, from Palm Beach all the way down to the Florida Keys, 786-271-0332. You need landscaping for your property, residential, commercial. They will take care of you and have it looking spick and span. 10% off when you call them, tell them Canes Insight sent you. The OrchidMan, ORCHID Man. Yeah, he was on the field going crazy. Again, shout out to Angela and Levine. If you or someone you care about been injured in an accident, you could be entitled significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Miami Hurricane team store. I know those Malachi Tony jerseys are going to keep selling. You know what else is going to keep selling? Those Cotton Bowl shirts, right? You want to get Cotton Bowl gear or just like the gear for the win over Texas A&M, go to miamihts.com, promo code INSIDE20. We'll get you 20% off your first item. Man, who else do I want to shout out? I'm fired up today. Shout out East Las Canarias, man, because I that was my last meal in Miami before leaving to Texas. I had to do it right. I had to get that East Las Canarias before headed to Texas, man. I had to load up on my Cuban food. Shout out to David Nuno from Tex Ags, who I saw on the field, Cuban over there for Texas A&M. Again, Texas A&M, those guys really were great hosts. I can't say one bad thing about them other than Trey Zune. But shout out to East Las Canarias Cuban Express. You want to get your Cotton Bowl party ready to roll, your Christmas party, whatever holiday you are celebrating, go to East Las Canarias Cuban Express, get the catering menu right there on eastlascanariasexpress.com, and you can get a little bit of everything, all kinds of different options to show up at your party with whatever is needed and be the star of the show with the best Cuban restaurant on planet Earth, East Las Canarias Cuban Express. Steve Smith says, today's Sunday, so if you're scared of OSU, take your ass to church. Actually, I will be going to church here in about 20 minutes, but not because I'm scared, just honestly because I'm grateful, man. This was such an awesome experience at that game. It was just incredible. And I'm just happy for everybody got to experience, everybody in the chat, almost 2,700 on. I mean, I know a lot of you guys can relate to this that are in the chat. If you guys have kids, and not just young kids, I mean, maybe you have 23-year-old kids that really have not seen Miami be in this level, be at this level of play, that they get to experience it, man, and see what it is for Miami to be good. The whole city, the whole community, which going all the way. I mean, we're talking about from Miami to Botswana, my boy Martin Dubé, Hamburg, all over the world. I know we have fans from Israel. We got fans from all over the world that are in this chat and all over the country, obviously, seeing Miami back to where they belong. And the whole next generation, I can't stress that enough, that the next generation, they grew up with no Canes being good. None. Nothing cool about. They watch playoff football. They think Alabama. They think Georgia. They think all these other people. Now they could see the Miami Hurricanes playing at that level, playing that caliber of football, winning at that level, playing physical at that level, knocking people out. So, shout out to the whole Canes community, man. There's my guy Fonzie. See that hat? Speaking of all over the world, this guy's got more. His baby's got more passport stamps than James Bond. But you see the mountains in the background. You see the Canes Connection hat. Canes Connection is worldwide. Fonzie, big part of Canes Connection, working hard with Zach, JG, Vanessa, the whole crew over there. Of course, Nick at the top of the spear. This organization, Canes Connection. This is not like there's a reason why we say it. We're going against oil money. You see Texas A&M. You saw those private jets landing. They got a lot of big money there at Texas A&M. That's what you're competing against. Ohio State, who we're about to play. You think they got money there? You think there's big money in Ohio? I mean, those guys own giant companies. So Ohio State grads. Like, this is real deal, competitive, big-time football. And the only way that Miami can compete is with Canes Connection and with all of you guys helping out. So go to canesconnection.com/CIS and sign up today. Be part of this, man. Be part of why we're doing this. There's no secret to this, right? There's no secret to the players you see on the field. It's obviously the coaching staff and the recruiting. It's guys and their families that want to be Canes. And it's the financial part, right? This is big-time college football. There's a reason Tulane and JMU got smoked. There's a reason why Texas Tech's the only Big 12 team you see out there competing at the real level. There's a reason why the SEC is there. There's a reason why the Big 10 is there. There's a reason why Miami's the ACC team that's there, not the other ACC teams. It takes a financial commitment, and you guys have the ability to impact that with canesconnection.com/CIS. So, again, appreciate everybody who supports. Bobby T, appreciate you. Said we traveled. The fan base got a lot of shit, but we showed out. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, part of the reason why there weren't more Canes fans there was because they just didn't give us seats. So that was the big problem. It wasn't the fan base. Fan base was there, and they were loud. You could hear them, man. You could hear them on the field. That fan base was loud and passionate. So shout out to everybody that was out there at the game. Gambit, appreciate you as always. Says Fitzgerald reminds me of Ed Reed a lot. Different in some type of ways, but same instincts. Yeah, very similar, very coordinated, smooth guys. Just the way they move, multi-sport guys. Ed Reed did the javelin, baseball center fielder. Bryce Fitzgerald, state champion in basketball, also state champion sprinter. So yeah, they're similar in that way, similar size actually too. Ed Reed was probably more physical at this age. Like Ed Reed got less physical as he got older just because he got banged up and he was such a good ball hawk. But Ed Reed, when he first came on the scene, was like a reckless hitter. He was knocking people out, and he did also in the pros as well. So I don't think Fitzgerald has that in his get bag like Fitzgerald does. But I got to say, Fitzgerald's faster than Ed Reed. Like Fitzgerald could play corner, no problem. He's running like 4.3. So like Gambit says, different in some ways with same instincts. And I'll tell you this, Ed Reed took a little while to get going. I think he didn't even play his freshman year, like his actual freshman year. I believe he was a red shirt. He was 24 when he graduated. Bryce Fitzgerald's a true freshman leading the Power 4 in interceptions. So pretty special, man. A lot of questions about Pete. Pete's doing great, man. He's flying over. So he's on the plane. I'm already back in Miami, but he's on the plane. We'll maybe do a show tonight. Definitely do a show tomorrow. There it is. Shout out to Rakesh. You have you family in Dubai. Yeah, shout out to Dubai, man. That Dubai chocolate, they're selling that everywhere. But yeah, shout out to Rakesh over there in the Middle East, representing for the U. And again, everybody representing across the country. Yeah, again, a lot of questions about Dawson. And he was the first to say he didn't call his best game. He'll learn from it. But I have to emphasize, the win was insane. Colin Klein's the head coach of Kansas State, and he had a lot of opportunities to be a head coach. He's a really good offensive coordinator. They scored 3 points. Now, Miami had a lot to do with that on the other side, but it was very hard to – just hard to navigate that win, man, because your playbook gets cut in half. You can't kick the ball, really. Punting is dangerous. Like, it affects so much, and he probably should have gone to Fletcher earlier. What I want to see more of was like maybe Malley in the Wildcat doing that read option. So like he's keeping it or he's handing it to Fletcher and you got to worry about Fletcher or him running. But ultimately, man, do what you do to get to the winner's circle and then start from scratch against an elite Ohio State defense, man. I would say to me, on December 31st, you are talking about the two very, very best defenses in America. The very best, in my opinion. Ohio State with 4 first-rounders and then Miami with that vicious defensive line. But, yeah, man, it's going to be fun. So this was a great win. Put it aside. And then Ohio State's going to be a whole different game for a lot of reasons. Not just because Ohio State's really good and the opponent's outstanding, but just the conditions, the way you need to play them to beat them. It's going to be a whole different game. And listen, I'm not betting against the Miami Hurricanes and that defense. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. So appreciate everybody's support. Thank you for everything you've done. Exactly 3,000 on live. Like and subscribe to the show if you haven't done it already. We are on every single day. We're probably on twice today, maybe on twice the rest of the week, man, or the rest of these 11 days until the new year hits, because Miami Hurricanes are competing for a national championship, and it is late December, baby, where it's supposed to be. Keep it going into January. Like and subscribe. Sign up to Canes Insight, 7.7 million posts and counting. Biggest Canes community on the planet, CanesInsight.com. Good. Like and subscribe to this show. CanesConnection.com/CIS. Be part of this. Be part of the reason why we beat Ohio State, why we kill the portal, why we go back and do this every single year. There's no going back to the CarQuest Bowl, the Micron PC Bowl, even the Pop-Tart Bowl, which I like. But there's no going back now. We are in the big time, man. And once you get a taste of it, I know you guys all got a taste of it. Man, just being there, there's no going back. This is it. Miami Hurricanes are here to stay. Appreciate everybody. Talk to you soon. Go Canes.